All right, we're here for our second feature match of the week here, week one for MH3, and we got a new player to our league, Aaron B, who's going to be competing against one of our longest standing players and a feature match regular, Ryan D. So we're going to get to see what Aaron is all about here, having as a new player to our league, and we see some of the cards in his hand. What's going on with Ryan over there?
Yeah, so Ryan's looking like a classic Ryan deck. His entire hand is red, except for this unicorn he's just drawn. But he's holding one more mountain. He's got a Detective's Phoenix, an Aether Revolt, Thieving Skyclaw, and then a special guest of this league, a Thought-Knot Seer.
Yeah, I think the last two leagues you just had these killer Boros decks. I know he made a deep run in OTJ. I played him I think in the last week or the second to last week, and games were very tight. So for Aaron here, he's got pretty nice hand. He's got a Nightshade Drive that he just drew. Nyxboard Hydra, Utter Insignificance. He's got Kozilek's on ceiling, so that might be a bit of a harbinger for what we may see later in the game. He's got a forest, and he's got his blue source here, the Sink into Stupor. That's the uncommon that can also bounce a creature or spell. And
Yeah,
pretty,
so
yeah,
I was just talking about how my abstruse appropriation got my creature bounced. It was actually Aaron that did it.
oh
Aaron is
no.
one of my losses this week, and he's got a pretty scary Team Rail Drazi deck.
Okay, so it looks like he's going for the unsealing here, not affecting the board yet. He does have this utter insignificance that can get rid of this Phoenix. I think he'd prefer to do it all in one turn.
Well,
Play it
I'm
and
not sure I'd
exile
go
it.
that far because
Oh,
we do have a Thief here
uh-oh.
coming, which may get rid of that removal.
I have to imagine it is getting rid of the removal here. So
Yeah.
I think Aaron was like, I can take a couple of hits from the Phoenix, no big deal. But now the pressure is going to be turned up a bit.
Thought-Knot Seer is a very interesting card, originally from
Oath of
Oath of the
Gateway, yeah,
Gatewatch, if my memory serves
yeah.
correctly. But it's a neat card. It's interesting, and fun to see it back from H3.
It was part of that oppressive modern build that got Eye of Ugin banned very quickly after a pro tour where I
Eldrazi
think
Winter.
seven out of eight the top eight were Eldrazi. Yeah, that Reality Smasher and all the others. But yeah, this showed up as a
Oh
special
yeah,
guest here, so pretty strong card. You know, you get to look at your opponent's card and you get to exile, and it's not one of those exile until it leaves. The card's just gone. It's not coming back.
yeah.
You do get a
The
card
trade-off of when they,
later,
yeah,
but I
exactly,
mean,
when they get.
the impact of a 4/4 that strips the best card in your opponent's hand, you're going to be so far ahead that your opponent getting a card back from it after. Okay, it's like not it's
Exactly, right.
not a big deal
Not
here.
a big.
Yeah, not great options here for Aaron with just drawing another land here, the Twisted Landscape. So he's
I assume we may be seeing just a Hydra come down to trigger the Kozilek's unsealing.
yeah, make some spawns here. Maybe draw one of his big things the next couple turns and really get going. His Kozilek's Unsealing, it's like you do need to cast a 7 drop for this card to be worth. Like if you're just making spawns, I don't think it's good enough. I mean, obviously here, he can't he can't control what he draws right now, so he's at the mercy of his deck. But this looks like it might do for now. Is Ryan going to be interacting with this 4/5?
Not currently.
Yeah.
He's holding an Aether Revolt, so I'm assuming the Aether Revolt's going to be played this turn. Um, but with that coming down, and he's got the Cat Dragon that gives you 3 energy. So next turn he'll be able to hit that Hydra for 5 when he gets the 3 energy from Aether from the Thieving Skyclaw.
I guess we'll find out during sideboarding how if he is just playing red white with maybe a couple colorless cards, because that would be impressive for week one. Like it's hard to do that, but it's what I try and do. It's like I mean he hasn't played any bad cards yet, but like I'll play some pretty bad cards to not mess up my mana in week one.
With my thought is with those two landscapes we're seeing that I'd have to guess there's probably a blue splash in there.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I guess we'll see after, but I know Ryan. He's not going to go. He's not going to go too off the ledge. If there is blue cards, it's like probably two or three at most.
Yeah,
All right, so
seems to fit in with this energy.
he's drawn a bunch of cool cards. I don't know how useful any of them are at the current juncture. Drownyard Lurker, I mean, that is a 7 drop. The Bespoke Battle Wagon, not doing too much. Kozilek's Command, also not cast. Well, it is castable. So that probably he'll want to hold on to. And another Kozilek's Unsealing, which is probably a bit overkill. Yeah, two Kozilek's Unsealing
Yeah,
is probably overkill. Like the other one, the green one that gives you two spawns, like it's okay. I think multiple of those is okay because it gives you actual game pieces, the Path of Annihilation. But yeah, the second Kozilek's Unsealing can't really be good. He does have a Twisted Landscape here, so he can do the thing if he wants to of getting rid of the cards that he deems not useful at this time.
it's also an option if he's got that landscape that he can just fire off Kozilek's command on the Phoenix and get rid of it permanently. That Phoenix is prone to be a threat late game.
Oh yeah, that card can do some damage. Okay, so he is going to put back the Twisted Landscape, so he's not going to do the shuffle thing. I guess he does want all the cards here. He put back the Battle
Huh.
Wagon underneath the Twisted Landscape, so maybe he doesn't want the wagon. He's going to shuffle that away next turn. But he said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to play my Drownyard Looker next turn, and I'm going to draw 6 cards because I want to make an impact here in the future matches.
Yeah, so Ryan's deck does in fact have one island in it.
Okay.
So I assume he's got something he's looking to splash.
Yeah, very reasonable. Like I said, he's not going to go too crazy with the splashes here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting thing
I mean, it's
about new players to our league is like we have no idea their Magic experience. It could be somebody who's been playing for 20 years, or they could be like we saw Thomas in the last league playing for a year. So we don't know. We just get to see what they're all about here, which is always fun. So always love when new players sign up for the future matches because we get to know them through their gameplay here.
yeah, for sure. And with Modern Horizons 3 being our biggest league ever, we've got I want to say 30 new players. Impressive.
I think we have about 19 returners, and a lot of those are probably people that were maybe around before the future matches were a thing. So they'd be they'd be new faces to the majority of us here.
Right. I'm curious why Ryan chose to swing because
Interesting, yeah.
the Skyclaw does enough damage to kill the
So
Hydra.
he is going to be able to do this. Yeah, it was dealing 3 anyway, right?
Well, yeah, and the Aether Revolt says it does 2 extra damage, right? So that was 5 already. Maybe Ryan didn't realize.
Yeah, it was 3 as
Um,
is, right? Oh no, well he needed to lose a
exactly. Yeah.
permanent, right? I guess it would have been the he needed to lose a permanent for it to deal 5. Okay, so he is going to play the
Oh,
land here. He's going to do the
is
thing.
that how that works? As long as a permanent. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so
he had
something had to
he
end
had,
up in the graveyard.
he just crack his landscape. He
Yeah,
crack his
I mean,
landscape and then
he might have
uh,
another colorless card that he's needing to cast. So
yeah, that's
also,
true.
again, these cards have a lot of words and they're all new, so it's also possible that
Sure.
he's getting used to all the interactions here. All right, well,
Yeah, of course.
um,
Complicated set.
if
I mean, it's a full grade.
if this is what Aaron B is all about, I'm kind of digging Aaron B here. If he was all about drawing 6 cards,
You
and
see
he's
why
still healthy, like his life total is still very healthy here. I mean, the Phoenix
you see
and
why
this
I
other
lost it.
flyer gonna be a problem, but he's got a brand new hand here. He's got the Battle Wagon and the Kozilek's Command from before. Adding to that, he has a Wastscape Battle Mage that can exile the uh, the Phoenix or the Ether
Oh
Revolt.
yeah,
He's got the
it's a great
Wumpus.
draw.
He's got another Sink into Stupor. He's got a Petrifying Meddler, and he's got a Furnace Hellkite. Not that doesn't really have any artifacts to get that down quickly. So that card seems a bit out of place with the rest of the cards in his hand. But yeah, he's got some interaction. He's got some big stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, like I said, playing Kozilek's Unsealing is a cost. You have to pay 3 mana to do absolutely nothing for a moment. But this makes up for it.
Yeah, and being able to hit that Aether Revolt, I think is pretty huge because it can go face.
Right. She
And
says,
him
yeah.
facing down flyers.
I think he says, I'm not that concerned about the
Uh,
Phoenix. I'm just going to get rid of your Ether Revolt now. That's the scary thing. The Phoenix can
yeah,
still
I
can
think it's
still die to
definitely
the
a risk.
Kozilek's command. So
Um, Ryan's only card in hand currently is a Pinnacle Monk, the double-faced land that can uh grab a instant or sorcery out of your graveyard.
does he have any spells in the graveyard?
I don't
No,
believe so. I think his only cards in there are the Phoenix and
there was a
the
unicorn.
oh yep, the Unicorn and then the Aether Revolt that was just put
Yeah, I
there.
mean Ryan had a scary start
Oh,
with the Phoenix and the Thought Knot Seer, and Aaron did have to play a little bit of catch up after playing unsealings without affecting the board. But he's more than made up for it here, and his life total is still very high, or at least reasonably high. So I
yeah,
yeah.
Cassis up draw six cards is it's not bad, really. It's
So
got a fresh new grip now.
I mean, in a normal draft, I would say I'd be concerned about decking if he keeps casting 7 drops. But first of all, he doesn't. The only 7 drop he has in his hand is the Furnace Hellkite, and also it's a 60 card format, so he'll be fine. And like this Gatekeeper, I mean,
Yeah,
good card, but it's not quite matching up to what Aaron's been doing here. And now he's just got just
unf
infinite choices, more or less here.
unfortunately, due to the Battle Mage exiling Ryan's Aether Revolt, he can't even use it for his collect evidence for his Phoenix either.
No, and he's only got 2 mana, right, worth of evidence right now.
Um, yeah. Currently, it's just the Unicorn in his graveyard, and so not looking like the Phoenix will be coming out
All right.
anytime
So
soon.
he's just going to say, let me kill this threat that I can't block. I'll gain life. Now he's probably just going to play whatever he wants. Petrifying Meddler, Wumpus, probably one of those.
Yeah, uh, I guess Ryan he's got the Phoenix online now, but I'm it's only so much good it can do. You got to be worried if your opponent's sitting there with six cards still,
Yeah.
and their life total's not all that low.
Okay. He is. I think he is conscious of the Phoenix, so he is going to go for the Petrifying Meddler play here. I believe the most secret
Makes sense.
reach of all time, perhaps, if not for the flashing bow and arrow on Arena.
Yeah, it's the first creature in the blue color identity to have
I
reach.
mean, he could have just played his Wumpus aberration there and got back all of the spawns that he sacked.
So Ryan did draw a wing it.
Okay. Yeah, the,
It
the
looks
thing
like
is,
he,
Kozilek's command is still live here, right? With all the spawns.
yeah, oh, true. It can hit the gatekeeper even right now. Yeah, that's a good
Yep.
point. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough road back into this one for Ryan for sure.
Yeah, let's see if he can find a way. Like, look, he is very well versed at playing these aggressive leaning decks. He can find if there's a line, he will be able to find it. The question is there a line with all of the card advantage that Aaron's accumulated here and the board advantage as well. So he's up on cards, he's up on board, and now the life totals are basically even. So Ryan's gonna have to find something really really good. But
Yeah,
in the meantime,
that horrific assault having gain three life stuck on it is
yeah,
pretty huge for these kind of late game Eldrazi decks.
yeah, because I mean, especially the green blue variant in limited, it takes a bit to get going sometimes. So it's just such a nice help here. So this is not going to win
I
combat, right?
assume,
It's just gonna they're just gonna bounce off.
yeah, I assume Aaron would just let this happen.
Yeah, I think Ryan's
Yeah,
thinking like, okay, I need a threat. Maybe next turn I can put the Phoenix on the Thought Knot and maybe draw another
right.
pump or something, right? Like
Yeah, so
he's
he's scried a inspired adventure to the bottom saying doesn't really help me this much right now.
right,
I need something more impactful.
so here comes the Wumpus aberration. I mean, this card. I mean, they put a giant box of text that basically never comes up. Like the card just is two green and a colorless for a 6/6 trample. No other words. Like that's it.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah.
I know it's a callback to the old hunted cards, or especially just hunted
Okay.
Wumpus
So
that put a your opponent can put a creature into play always.
uh
We've come so far.
I think so Ryan's got a Skoa. It's
Okay.
probably too late, but he is looking at that and saying, "Hey, this is for a face damage."
Okay, and he's
Yeah, so he
taking
doesn't know.
three here. I think he's trying to go for the bestow,
Yeah.
get him to actually exactly four. Oh no, go to yeah.
Yeah. So he doesn't know about the Kozilek's command. This won't work, but if there's no interaction, this is lethal.
No, so think he's gonna let it happen. Let him attack. Yeah, I mean, look, Ryan found the line that works if the opponent can't interact because otherwise he's dead, whether he's at six or three,
Yeah.
whether he did that or not.
I
Okay.
mean, at this point, you gotta hope your opponent's got nothing because you're
Okay.
100% dead
He's
on
just gonna
board.
bounce it
Might
rather
as well.
than Kozilek. This lets him leave up Kozilek's command as well, and even draw a card. Why not?
Yep.
And even if Ryan wanted to recast his thought knot, he can't because he sacked his landscape. So maybe that was his only colorless card. So he's like, he's like, oh, I'll sack my landscape. Yeah. So Aaron just Ryan got off to a nice start here with a couple rares, but Aaron caught up and more.
I'd be interested to see if he maybe had follow the line with the Aether Revolt earlier, where instead of throwing his Phoenix away, he sacked the landscape for the trigger.
Yeah. So once again, we
That
do
would have
see
been
a three color deck here, but very solid cards up and down. He has four landscapes. Thinking of utter insignificance here, he does have a lot of he does have a lot of cheap red interaction, triple galvanic discharge, fangs, flames, and ghost fire slice. But he's thinking I want to add an extra piece of removal here, maybe take out the battle wagon. That card looks very bad there. What's
yeah.
Ryan's
And
splashes there? Do we know what he's playing blue for?
so he seems to be mostly red
Yeah,
white. It looks like he's just literally ran out of red and white cards, and so he had to add a few blue cards in. But he's just got a couple of blue energy cards, so he's running a Cyclops Superconductor and a Riddlegate Gargoyle, and then near the top end he's got the draw three, make a spawn.
me and Ryan
So
are maybe
not
kindred spirits in that
but
regard. I know I just put all the cards of the two colors I wanted to play and needed to add three cards of another color at the end.
yeah,
So I imagine there
it
was a
does
bit of
look
that going on, which is fine.
it looks like he's seen Aaron's deck here and saying, well, I may need a bit more, hefty interaction. So he's looking at bringing in some demon inferiors from his board and maybe
Okay.
um, flashing a little more blue.
I mean,
Notably, he's got our favorite Eldrazi dragon at the top end too.
ooh, the what's it called? Heragast. I'm learning.
Oh, and he has two Detectives Phoenixes. Wow.
Okay, so he's not just playing red white because he likes aggro. He's playing red white because his bombs are in those colors too. So
He can't keep getting away with it.
look, he likes
Uh,
it. It works. It brings success.
yeah, but there's definitely something to be desired from some of his red and white cards. But
Yeah,
like you said, it seems like he's said, okay, I want to play red white. I'll put all my red and white cards in my deck, and then I'll fill in the extras
like
with whatever.
I know that players like me and Ryan are in the minority who are okay with playing some subpar cards in the early days to not have to splash like six cards and have bad mana. We're in the minority, and that's fine, but it works for us. I was rooting for him in OTJ. I'll tell you that to be in the two color club in the top eight, which was
That was super
a very
sick.
small club. All right, so
What's Aaron
yeah.
working with over there?
Oh yeah, so he's got a forest, another island. He's got Malevolent Rumble, Basking Brood Scale. He's got another Sink into Stupor, Corrupted Shapeshifter, and the 7-drop Drownyard Lurker. So you can go with Rumble or Brood Scale here, and he's going to go for the Rumble here. Ooh, and he could find a Wastegate Battle Mage. That's not bad. Yeah, he's pretty happy to see that.
Yeah. and that's problematic for Ryan too because he's got one of his Detectives Phoenixes in hand, and if I'm Ryan and looking at that, I'm saying I can't cast Detectives Phoenix into that, right?
Yeah, it's face up too.
Um,
So Ryan's like, he's like, what do I do
he's
exactly?
hovering over it.
He needs his thought nuts here, I
But
guess.
the rest of his hand he's holding. Speaking of, so the rest of his hand he's got a landscape, he's got another mountain. Like I said, he's got the Phoenix, he's got an Inspired Inventor, which I'd imagine is coming down this turn. He has one of his blue splashes, the Riddlegate Gargoyle, and
Okay.
then he has both the Thought-Knot Seer and the Harrogast.
All right. So some heavy hitters here, looks like, but we're gonna have to fight
Yeah,
through this battle
and
mage
I'm sure he
first.
would have loved,
Okay.
sure he would
So
have loved to just slam the top six this turn, but you can't really do that into a battle mage.
absolutely not. So
But
Aaron
luckily for him,
is deciding what to do
though,
here. He has a few choices.
luckily for Ryan, the landscape was the top deck for a turn. He didn't actually have a colorless mana to play the Thought Knot Seer until he top decked that landscape.
So he's gonna leave up his pseudo counter spell here, sink into stupor, and because of the way that the trigger works, Thought Knot Seer is actually an enter the battlefield trigger, which is very unusual for the Eldrazi's. Normally it's a
Right.
cast trigger,
Usually
so he
you'd
will
expect cast
actually
it.
escape the trigger by sinking to stupor. Like this is why the counter spells are a bit weak in this format because you know your opponent casts a big Eldrazi, they get a nice trigger, whatever it is. So you might counter the spell, but they still got something out of it. So it's like a almost could be like still like a 2 for 1 or maybe like a 1.5 for 1. Like your opponent's getting half a spell worth out of these triggers often. So not a great
Yeah,
counterspell format. So
I was talking about it earlier. I've actually been mainboarding my first copy of Consigned Memory just because of how many Eldrazi there are in this format.
yeah, that one actually can hit the triggers. So we like that.
Exactly. Yeah, 2 mana to counter an Eldrazi and its trigger sounds pretty good to me. And if it's a dead card, it's a dead card. But
All right, so we're just playing a good old. I think it's called the Phantom Monster here. 4 mana, 3/3 flying.
yep. So I assume we're just gonna see Thought-Knot Seer come down again, and you know,
Let's see if he
second time's a charm, as they say.
let's see if he takes the battle mage here. Because if he takes the battle mage, you can then just play the phoenix, and then when it dies, it can bestow it eventually. We'll see if
Yeah,
he.
I think if you're Ryan and you have a Phoenix in hand, you have to just say, yeah, I can't deal with that Battle Mage. We'll get it off the board. I'll be able to develop my Phoenix.
Yeah. Alternately, this flyer wearing a bunch of Hydra counters could be problematic too. Because you can just make
Yeah,
a
he doesn't
big
currently have
flyer and try
Lancer.
and win here.
Um, Harrogast can block it at some point. Yeah, he's saying, okay, I
Okay.
will take that Hydra. I can't deal with that big a flyer. Definitely a disciplined player from Ryan. I know I would be throwing that Wayscape Battle Mage away as soon as I saw it.
All right. Well, here's our fun MVP from the last game here. Kozilek's unsealing off
Oh,
the
Coast.
top. Okay. So he can play the brute scale. If he gets an untapped land next turn, he can cast this Drownyard Lurker and profit, we'll say. 3 cards
Yeah,
is like
seems so.
insane. It's so many cards.
And with the density of 7 drops in this format, it's really not even too difficult to trigger it.
Yeah, he has a few in his deck. So I'm sure Ryan has a few
So
options
this,
here. What are the good ones?
so he's got a blue card he can't cast. The Phoenix is not even that great of a play right now because you can't bestow it and it just runs into a 3/3. So he's looking at a Sarpadian Simulacrum he's drawn, or possibly playing an Inspired Inventor. I think those are his good options right here.
I mean, yeah, those are okay, but as soon as like he sees what's coming, right? He sees the battle mage, and he knows that with one more land, the lurker is going to come down and draw 3. So he needs to
Well,
act carefully here and try and get
so
damage through if he
he
can,
does.
but it's gonna be rough.
Yeah, so the untapped mount for a turn does mean he can play his Simulacrum and immediately sack it if he wants. Meaning he can push 7 more damage this turn. Um, And he's got the Detective's Phoenix and he's got the Harrogast in hand, so he does have the means to push damage through.
Yeah, I mean, he knows what's in hand, so he said, I need to act here. I need to interact. I can't just play stuff because my opponent's going to play stuff and it's going to do more than mine. So I need to
Yeah,
make haste with what's in play, which means kill the 3/3 and get in for, you know, hopefully half of his opponent's life total.
yeah. And if I'm Aaron, I think I probably can't block on my spawn here because I need it to cast my 7 drop.
Yeah, Sage of the Unknowable, a little awkward here.
Not exactly the land drop he was hoping for.
I'm just going to do this now so he can't get blown out. Yeah, he's just going to do it sorcery so he can't get blown out and he gets his spawn in
Makes
order.
sense. Yeah. So, I imagine. So yeah, Ryan can he's drawn another land, so he can just emerge this Harrogast if that's something he's looking to do.
Could be. This
But
3/3 on the ground isn't really doing too much.
well, he does
But
have
he's
a
going to lose his
second
whole hand
Inspired
though,
Inventor.
right?
Well, I think it's a May, but
Oh, is it? Okay.
alternatively, he can put a counter on his the Inspired Inventor that already has one, and looks like he will be doing that. And then the Detective's Phoenix coming over the top too. This is a lot of damage coming
Like I said, he finds the
here.
lines. The one thing he does, he finds the lines with his aggro deck. He says, "I know I need to get the damage through. I'm gonna optimize my plays for that as much as possible." He's not looking to
Yeah.
play a value
So
game. He's not looking to go long. He's looking to make the moves needed to get in damage, and these are the moves. All
I
the
mean, this
blocks
is
are
rough
terrible.
from yeah, it's rough from Aaron because then he can't even really play his 7 drop next turn because he'll just die in the air.
Yeah, we can cast the Wastegate next turn, bounce the 4/4 Inventor,
Yeah,
and exile the Phoenix.
exactly. But yeah, he's kind of just have to block in a way that makes his 7/7 even harder to cast. But at this point, it's that or die.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is what a good aggro deck does, right? It backs the opponent into a corner, it limits their options, and it makes them think about every play and the consequence of what they're doing,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
And certainly Ryan being on the plate this game helped too.
So we do have a land here,
So
but we know that he can't really cast the lurker. He has to cast this battle mage. At least he could. At least he does not
he's
have to
not.
tap his. He doesn't have to tap his O4 at least now with the land drawn. So he has an extra body here.
Yeah, and if he does cast a 7 drop, he's not technically dead. He can block both 4/4s and go to 1, but I don't think that's a situation you want to be in.
Yeah, no, this is safer. It doesn't draw him 3 cards, but 3 cards are not helping
Yeah.
here. So
At this point, he says, "Let's take 2 blockers off the field here,
yeah,
especially the flyer, and
huh.
maybe I'll cast my 7/7 next turn."
What a great card and a callback to the old battle mages that worked basically like that
Yeah.
from the
Um.
olden days.
So Ryan has drawn a Skoa, which it's incredibly scary if I'm Aaron. Um.
Uh,
It can put his life total to
he's at
1,
one
or it can
life.
force a.
Aaron
Yeah, pretty
doesn't know.
much.
Aaron doesn't know that he's at one life basically.
Yeah. It's he definitely can't find the last damage this turn, but with a 6/6 flyer in hand, I don't know that things are going to get much better for Aaron either. So I guess Ryan is thinking if he wants to develop a Saragast, potentially threatening lethal next turn.
Yeah, he could. I mean, can start off by at least attacking with the 4/4, I suppose.
Looks like he's not.
Okay, I
He's playing out his inspired inventor again.
putting a counter on. Okay, basically saying you're gonna trade for both. Okay,
Yeah. If you want to block, you will be trading with both your creatures. I like this play too because it means he's got a couple 2/2s on the ground, and as we know, Aaron's life total is 1, and he doesn't know that.
I think you have to double block here because you get it off the board, and he gets a card too. Aaron does.
Yeah, it's more likely to have some action next turn if you get the extra card coming in too.
Yeah, and I mean without flying, playing the 7/7 is like a fairly safe play.
Yeah.
And
So
and
yeah,
draw three.
Aaron's saying get out of your house here. Go back to 2016 where you belong.
Be gone. Yeah.
Yep, pretty reasonable.
All right. So a land here, not great.
Yeah, and I assume Ryan's just gonna get his blue source so he can cast his Riddlegate
I
Gargoyle.
mean that is a flyer right now, so that's pretty good for him.
Yeah,
He's
definitely.
drawn utter insignificance here. We'll see if that is gonna have an impact. But for now, he gets to draw
Ooh,
three cards. He gets to do the thing finally.
yeah, it's interesting. There's a route back for Aaron in this game. He's played it well.
So
Even with Ryan putting up.
he's drawn a Void Craw, which is that turtle. He's drawn a Galvanic Discharge and a Mountain to cast the Galvanic Discharge. So
Wow, okay.
and the utter insignificance from last turn. So
So
there's hope
Ryan not
still.
doing too much. He's got his gargoyle. I can't imagine he's not gonna play the Heragast.
Yeah, well,
He's saying
that
no.
thing's going to be suffering some utter insignificance. I think he wants to play it as last card
He's
in hand, which is it's understandable, but um,
yeah. I guess I feel like I'd want to make my opponent have an answer because if you put that down as well, then now your opponent has to answer two flyers where they die.
yeah, I mean
Which,
we know Aaron
granted,
can, but Ryan obviously
exactly
doesn't know
right. He
that.
does have the answer, but
And these two
you
ground
know,
creatures are not responsible for anything impactful here. Yeah, he could have cast it for
yeah,
exactly
they're-
five, right? By sacking the three drop.
yeah. If you sack
Hmm.
an inventor, it'll cost you 5.
Yeah.
Um, but it's Ryan saying, I don't want to show all my cards just yet.
Right, so here comes a 6/6 and some O1s, and he's going to leave up his two removals here.
Seems pretty reasonable.
Um, if he tapped slightly differently, I guess he could have played the Void Craw, but I'm not sure playing that makes too much of a difference at this time.
Probably not a big
Yeah,
deal.
if he didn't tap the other blue there, he could have played and left it up with the other mana, but not sure that's too big of a deal. He's just trying to stay alive here, so I assume he's going to let the 2/2 attack and maybe spend energy before killing it.
Yeah, yeah.
He says, "Let's
It's
see, let's see if it attacks. Let's see if it uses up the energy for lifelink." And Ryan says no.
oh, thanks. Um, I assume this will get galvanic discharged. I can't imagine. Yeah, we're not letting that through.
Yeah, I I would think Aaron, having seen Skoa in the other game, is going to be conscious of that. Has to at least have it as a possibility.
Yeah.
All right, so
So Ryan's actually drawn another flag.
another flyer
Um,
here that is gonna bring out the other removal, which is then going to allow this dragon to come down and do its thing.
but at this point, if I'm Ryan, I'm actually getting a little worried about my life total, right?
Yep.
With this Drown Yard Lark and a 6/6 trample coming
Yeah,
my
the
way, and
seven
he's not.
seven can be blocked, but the 6/6 is not as easily blocked, obviously, from the trampling.
Yeah. So I'm assuming we see a trump. Yeah. But yeah, with Ryan not having foreseeable lethal next turn, I'd be getting a little worried.
Yeah, like this is kind of what happened in the first game too, right? Like Ryan was setting the pace, and then Aaron finally turned the tide, and next thing you know, Ryan was almost dead to to these big things, and we're kind of at the
Yeah.
same juncture here, more or less the same thing. We know Ryan does have a couple of cards that can make a big impact in the dragon and
Right.
the Ember Mage. But will he get a
Yeah.
chance to
So
cast them?
he's drawn a unicorn. Not super impactful on this board state, but it's a chump blocker at the end of the day. He's
Yeah,
looking at Haragast.
I mean, I know he doesn't want to exile his hand because he has the Skoa.
Yeah. Um, I feel like at that point you kind of need the Skoa um
Yeah. So
to have that surprise lead.
yeah, so like last turn with the gargoyle, he's gonna let Ryan see if Ryan spends energy, and this time he does spend the energy. Yeah, and now I think Ryan's gonna be pleased with himself having baited out this removal so that he can now resolve his dragon. But there is still trouble on the way here with these two big creatures and a source of card draw here for Aaron.
Well, unfortunately, he can't really play his dragon out because he's going to need to block the 7/7 next
Four, five,
turn.
six, seven. Yeah, he can't sack his creature. It costs 9, I believe, to
No,
just cast fully.
yeah, it's 9 straight up, and even if he plays this unicorn, he's still 1 mana short of then sacking it to emerge. I think we would have to see him just play Skoa this turn.
Huh. Yeah. I mean, look, the Eldrazi's, we know what they do. They're big. They demand answers. They're a bit slow sometimes. That's the downside, right? These decks take a bit of time to get set up, and Aaron found the time in both games to get set up and potentially take over. This one's not done yet, but we'll see if Ryan can survive the next couple attacks here.
Okay, so he's saying I'll play the unicorn and then I'll emerge my Haragast with the 3 CMC creature.
So is he going to ship out
And now
his?
this,
Is he going to? I imagine he's going to exile the Skoa to see two other cards.
we'll see. Um, at this point, right, you have a Haragast. It's lethal anyway. You may as well get some more cards, right?
I imagine, but is 3 random cards better than this 4 damage?
Probably, right? At this point.
Yeah, he did
Yeah, so he's
decide
saying
that's
get rid
enough,
of
and
that.
I think Aaron's breathing a sigh of relief. He's like, "Whew."
Yeah,
There
seeing
was
that
no
journey.
margin of error for the last couple turns, right? With flyers attacking
Yeah,
both times,
seeing,
he absolutely had to have the removal,
yeah,
and he did.
right. And it's
All right, he's drawn this
those two.
hydroelectric specimen, the card that can be a land, the flash that can change the target of an
Okay.
instant or sorcery. So if a removal shows up, it can mess around
What's
with
the other
that.
card in his hand?
It's just an island. He could draw another card here.
It's
He does have quite a lot of mana to work with.
yeah, so the Void Crawl can get him another card, but as it stands, Ryan's the 3 cards he's drawn, it's a Conduit Goblin, a Legion Leadership, and a Siege Smash. But
Okay.
as if Aaron can't find a way to push that extra damage or get rid of the flyer, it's looking like Ryan may take this one. As it stands, he can get Ryan to 1, but 1 is not 0
Nope. I think he
as the
says
Sko is sitting in exile. What do I
I
do?
need to draw another card here. He says he says I can't win with what I have, but maybe I can find something
Yep.
because he can chump block the 7/7 and then just take the 6.
Anything that helps him out here?
It is. It's a petrifying meddler, which is actually going to it is actually going to give him a turn. I mean, it's going to give him the lead here, I think. So trading
Yeah.
out
So
threats back and forth, he's going to go to 1 here.
okay. So I don't
Yeah,
know
he
what.
says I don't think I can win here. Okay, so
Uh,
well, he was going to
I
untap
guess.
with nothing, no other creatures except for the tap one. So, but
Yeah. There's a
hmm,
Conduit Goblin, I guess, but yeah.
yeah, I mean, look, he found what he needed. He had that crucial card draw there to find the meddler. to lock up the game. So congratulations to Aaron winning his first feature match in his first league, and we'll be back in a little bit with our final match of the night.